I am so proud of those women who've learned how men operate. They now know the best ways to inspire, influence, and invite their husbands into a deeper experience of life. These women have discovered their relational power, and that has worked so beautifully for so many couples. However, the most growth happens when a man also learns to meet his wife's emotional needs. He too feels empowered. He's not merely dependent on his wife's affirmations to keep him going and growing, and that's a good thing. Hello, I'm Dr. Debbie, and I've been helping men, women, and couples grow together for more than 25 years. Now it's your turn to learn what I learned and taught as a couples counselor and university professor. You are the wise woman, and this is your personal development podcast packed with instant encouragement and practical tips. And men can learn about women too, because this is a safe place where women are valued and men are respected. We talk about biology, socialization, behavior, emotions, communication, and connection, because men and women are different. Always have been, always will be, and that's a very good thing. Because a man is sensitive to his wife. If she's having a bad day, he needs to know how to understand her struggle and how he can best protect and provide for her in the midst of the fray. He needs to acknowledge that she's not a man. She doesn't think like a man or act like a man. He doesn't want her to, of course, but it's the only solution he knows. He often thinks, do what I do and you'll be fine. But what works for a man almost never works for a woman. It violates the primary principle for understanding women. That is, everything she thinks, feels, and does is connected to her desire for connection. Yes, she can conquer the world if she has to or wants to, but she does not want to conquer you. She wants to feel connected to you. You're sensitive to her moods, and she's sensitive to the space between you. The wider it gets and the longer it lasts, the more anxious she becomes, no matter the reason for that distance. And anxiety drives much of her behavior. She worries about everything. It's actually one of her best defenses against trouble. If she keeps an eye out for ways life can go south, she can escape it, or better yet, find someone who will escape trouble with her. Usually, that someone is the man she loves. She's counting on you to be there for her, which means more than just coming home every day. She's all about connection, remember? Your tendency is to listen for a problem, then solve it. From your point of view, that's how it's done. But from her point of view, it's about connection. So she wants you to hear the entire story, which of course includes the backstory. And sometimes the side story. I know it's exhausting for you, especially if she gets emotional in the telling. That's why you jump in so quickly to solve a problem without first knowing if you're solving the right problem, or even if there is a problem. Because sometimes the problem is simply that ever-widening space between you, otherwise known as disconnection. As a man, you use words to convey information. That's a no-brainer for you. It's hard for you to imagine anything else. Why waste time and energy talking about feelings? From her perspective, however, sharing experiences and the emotions that go with them are the primary means to create connection. When she shares something with you, she's inviting you into her world. She's sharing her heart with the one she loves. Now, if she seems overly negative, it's a sure sign that she's feeling more and more anxious. And the quicker you learn that she wants to know you're there, not just to solve her problem, but to love and understand her, the smoother the interaction will go for you both. You will never fully understand her, of course. At the core, she will always remain a marvelous, magnetic mystery. You just need to understand that she was created to think, feel, and act differently than you do. And no, you don't have to agree with her assessment of anything, nor do you have to do just whatever she commands you to do. Instead, You have the power to take charge of the situation. How? Well, do more listening than talking. Actually pay attention to her body language and tone. Does she sound angry? In reality, she's probably more desperate than angry, especially if you've had this particular discussion before. What might her desperation be? That is, what could she be feeling beneath the anger? Sadness? Hurt? Anxiety? When in doubt, go with anxiety. You'll be right about 86% of the time. In the past, I've compared men to dogs. Not that you're a dog, but that you respond better to positive reinforcement than you do to a rolled up newspaper. And the best positive reinforcement, from my observations, is your wife's smile. On the other hand, I've often compared an anxious woman to a small, scared child. Not that she is a child, of course, but because a man automatically knows what to do when a 2-year-old is terrified. You don't shout a solution from across the room, then walk out when she doesn't calm down. Instead, you move closer to the child, speak in a softer, reassuring voice, and hold her until she's not scared anymore. Then you talk about how to solve the problem. Think about that for a minute. You know how to comfort and reassure a child. You don't do that for your wife because all you see is anger. What if it's fear instead? How could you apply this strategy the next time around? If you think it would be counterproductive, you could be right. But maybe you've just not yet discovered how to see her desperate desire to create connection. Thank you for listening to this episode of A Wise Woman's Guide to Men and Marriage. What did you think? Did the information raise more questions? Do you want to learn more? Head over to A Wise Woman's Guide for show notes and links to the resources mentioned in this episode at awisewomansguide.com.